I intend to rule with respect.
What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast for yet another Mandalorian review. Season 3, Episode 1 just came out, and wow, it was a fantastic episode, honestly. Mike, how are you today?
Well, I'm still trying to recover from what that episode was. And usually I come on here and say I'm excited to talk about the episode, but I'm feeling some type of way. So yeah, I'm here to break it down though. That's what matters.
Yeah, look, obviously, I'm just playing around Boba Fett Episode 5, but it really wasn't Boba Fett. Like, this was not an
Nope.
episode of the Book of Boba Fett
Nope.
whatsoever. So, yeah, look, spoiler warning. We are going to be talking all spoilers here. But yeah, the episode is titled Return of the Mandalorian and it is directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who has done 2 Mandalorian episodes. So I guess this is her third. Anyway, though, yeah, look. Um, I am at a crossroads with this episode. I don't know how to feel. I'm one side of me is like, this was just an awesome, 50 minutes of Star Wars content. Great episode of The Mandalorian, because that's what it is. This is an episode of The Mandalorian, and I don't think I can be convinced otherwise. But then another side of me is like, what is happening with the Book of Boba Fett? Like, literally, what is going on with this show? We're 4 episodes in, and we're at the exact same point we were at the end of episode 3. At the end of episode 3, we say we're going to war. And then at the end of episode 4, it's like, we're going to war and we need muscle. And then at the end of this episode, it's like, okay, we have muscle. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's
Yep.
very, very slow. Like, people have been criticizing, like, oh, this show is so slow. And I've honestly disagreed, because I thought, even though last week we sort of ended at the same point as
Mhm.
episode 3, I feel like, Boba developed, Fennec developed, with the relationship was like enriched. However, this time round, nothing has been added to the Boba Fett story whatsoever, in my opinion. Like,
Nope.
so then that's a thing. That's how I feel on one hand. On the other hand, I'm like, wow, okay. I guess the Mandalorian season 3 is starting early, and that was a very cool episode. Like, man, I don't even know, Mike. How are you feeling?
Like I said, I'm still lost. I haven't gotten a chance to view this episode for a second time, which is kind of cool because you have someone like Ari who's watched it twice already, and then you have someone who's just like, it's like if I'm giving my first reaction to it, just because I've been busy with school and work. But my gosh, I mean, what an experience it was yesterday watching it. It felt like I was back in late 2020 watching an episode of The Mandalorian, and it feels like it just picked up right where season 2 left off. And the way it started out, I was like, wow, cool, awesome. This is the way to kick off a season. But then the credits kicked in, and opening titles kicked in, and I forgot what show we were in. I'm like, wait, we're still in Book of Boba Fett. This is not Mandalorian show. It was such a bizarre choice to do. Like, Ari, as you're saying, I haven't thought the Book of Boba Fett was slow. I mean, there were points where it's like, all right, let's pick up the pace. Listen, we got 3 episodes left. Anything is on the table. And well, I should have been careful with that because we literally got an episode of The Mandalorian, which I'm still at, you said crossroads. I'm there with you. I'm like, wow, what a great Mando episode. They literally like forget it. Like if they threw this, this was a season opener for Mando, people would have been enthralled as they are now, but it just would have been like, wow, we are moving the story of the Mandalorian right along, right? And it just, I wanted to love it so much, but at the same time, I'm like, what? It just, every fear that I had of them bringing Mando on was realized with this episode. Literally not even, oh, Mando stole the show. He literally made Book of Boba Fett his show.
Yeah.
And you don't have Boba Fett in this episode, and it's called the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
That is insane. Listen, at least Bad Batch, when they had the Hera episode, at least they cameoed in their own episode, and that was the joke of the week. It was like, hey,
Yeah.
guess what? Bad Batch. They were so bad in their own show that they had a cameo for a week. What is I feel like I haven't I also feel a bit grumpy because I just wanted my Boba Fett episode, and I didn't get that. And man. There's a whole bunch of hooks that as you know, when we talked about the episodes early on, I was talking about the intrigue and what the groundwork that they were laying, and we have 2 episodes left. And as you said, where is this gang war? We've been on this notion of we have a gang war coming. Okay. Then the next episode, episode 4, we have a gang war coming. We need muscle. Okay. And then you finally get this episode. It's like, oh, what may they do? Like, who's gonna appear? Cad Bane, boss. You know, as we were saying on last week's show. And I don't think anyone could have predicted this, to be honest with you. And I'm still like, listen, I still gotta watch it again. I still gotta process everything, but what a bizarre choice, man. For lack of a better term, I'm like gutted because, yeah, I'm just that's how I'm feeling. Everyone, sorry again. As I said, very very good episode. I was loving mostly all of it, but at the end, I just felt so unsatisfied. So I apologize to our listeners if you love the episode and you're hearing, us talk about us not, appreciating this move. However, trust me, we're gonna get into all the stuff that we love. But we just want to talk about all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. We almost just want to get all this negative feeling that we have out of the way,
Yeah.
and then I promise everyone we will jump into all the craziness that happened because there was so much good stuff. But just to harp on it for a little bit longer, it's almost like we're at a point where, at least for me, I feel like the show can't win because either everything they set up in this episode with The Mandalorian, I predict that 90% of it is not going to pay off in the Book of Boba Fett and is going to
No.
pay off in The Mandalorian, which if that's the case, then it's absolutely ridiculous that they've set it up in a separate show. Keep that stuff for the own show. However, if all this stuff that they've set up does pay off in the Book of Boba Fett, why? We have 2 episodes left. We've got a whole war. Why are we going off to, like, because it looks like, who knows, we're going to find Grogu or something like that, which, if that happened in Mando season 3, I would be so excited. I'd be like, let's go. We're back to Grogu. But now it's like, are we seriously going to go visit Grogu while, all this Boba Fett stuff is happening? So I'm like, I feel like the show has put itself in a position where it can't win, for me at least. I know a lot of people, I feel like the people who have enjoyed this episode, I'm not trying to like categorize anyone, but I feel like the people who have enjoyed this episode are people that haven't really enjoyed the 4 previous episodes of Boba Fett.
Yep.
So, and which there's nothing wrong with that at all, because for them, they're like, well, yes, finally some Star Wars content that I'm enjoying, and I'm happy for those people. However, for me, and I think Mike's the same, we've really enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett so far.
Yeah.
So for us, we're like, yeah, like to what Mike said, it's like we kind of almost got robbed of an episode. It's like, well, now what we once thought was a 7-episode series is actually a 6-episode series. So,
right.
Because whether you love this or didn't, everyone I think can admit that this was not a Book of Boba Fett episode. This is an episode of The Mandalorian. So yeah, but that it is what it is, I guess. I heard someone say that this is almost just like an interlude, and books have interludes, and that's fair. However, when something has an interlude, it pays off in the proceedings of the book or whatever. However, and as I said, if it does pay off in the rest of the show, then I'm like, why are we doing Mandalorian stuff in this show? So this is almost like, I would say, like corporate synergy gone too far, which is like, for corporate synergy, like a good example is Black Chrysanthemum. He comes in and then people don't need to go and read the comics. However, if they want to, they can, so they're almost putting that out there. But for this, it's almost like you have to watch The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. You can't watch one, which for me and Mike, it's like, obviously we're going to watch both anyway, but I just don't like that idea in the future of like everything like connects and everyone has to watch everything, because people will just lose interest if that's what they're expected to do. So I just, as I say, this is a fantastic Mandalorian episode. It really is. But this is a bizarre episode of the Book of Boba Fett.
You know what?
Like, you can't even really call it an episode of the Book of Boba Fett.
No, and I like the interlude analogy. That's quite clever. If this season had, let's say, 12 episodes, maybe 15, I would appreciate an interlude like this, because you look at Bad Batch, and you have just this deviation from what they were doing with the story, and it's just like, well, they have like 13 episodes. Does one hurt? Not that much. But when you have 7 episodes and you do one, that's a lot. That takes
Yeah,
you
exactly.
literally take a big portion of the story out, and you lose time. So for me, it's like, why didn't you guys just do 6? I I didn't realize this episode was gonna be like Mando making his way over to Boba the entire episode. Because at first I was like, okay, all right, let's
Yeah, yeah,
let's.
no, exactly.
I was liking a lot of the stuff, but I'm like, all right, let's move it along. We know that they're gonna link up. We all know, and they took the entire episode and they didn't even link up at the end. So
Yeah,
it
exactly.
completely felt like a Mando episode. And how you're saying about corporate synergy, no diss to the High Republic books, I love them, but I think sometimes it's like, if, like for Fallen Star, if you listen to our review,
Yeah,
there's a lot
yeah,
of things that you got to know preceding that. Like you can't just read the adult novels; you got to be reading like the comics and stuff like that. So it's like,
yeah,
dang, that's what this felt like. You had to, for a viewer who isn't caught up, it's like, hey, you gotta go watch you gotta watch Mando and stuff, which is, I don't know. I mean, I guess because this is the Mandoverse, so it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it's
well, it's
like,
not just that, it's also saying people watching The Mandalorian, you have to watch the Book of Boba Fett if you wanna see what Din's been up to in between season 2 and 3, and it's like,
yeah,
why should people have to
it's
do that? And with
yeah,
the High
vice versa.
Republic, it's like, yeah, it is, that's a great analogy because it's the same thing, and it's like, it you don't have to, but it's like if you want the full experience, which I think most people just want to have like the full experience of something when they're viewing it,
Right,
you have to go and watch the other show or read the other book or read the comics. So
right.
it just, yeah, it honestly is bizarre. But yeah, what were you saying?
You see this Book of Boba Fett shelf here that I got going on? It's gonna be taken down by the end of the week. I got to change it up now. It's no longer, it's gonna be Mando shelf or something. But
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, yeah. There's a lot to discuss. But if you like the episode, or if you didn't like the episode, I'm pretty sure you liked the episode because I haven't seen like one really negative complaint besides some comments like that we're making. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. I want to see what our listeners are thinking. If you're on Spotify or iTunes, you can comment on one of our Instagram pages. But if you're on YouTube, especially our listeners, let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because, like, I think for me at least, I can't say it enough. I did love this episode, but I just, the placement and everything where it is, I think you guys get it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just, it was so off putting and just kind of bizarre to me. And like, Pelimoto during the episode goes, like, hey, look, everyone, it's Mando. And I kind of just felt like that's what the whole episode was. It was like, look, guys, remember the Mandalorian from the Mandalorian show? Like,
Yep.
it's like, oh, and he comes in and he says, do you want to go in cold or warm? I forget the exact quote, but it's like the same things. And like even the armorer says like the songs of eons past and all this stuff. It's like we've
Yeah.
seen this. I don't know. So
And
there was
our
like, while I liked it, it was like it was almost as if part of the episode was like, hey, for people that haven't watched The Mandalorian, this is what it's like. But most people have. So then it's like we're just sort of thinking, I don't even know. And then even Mando coming up with the, oh, weapons are part of my religion. Like it's just the same stuff. So
right.
I don't know.
And you know what? To me, it just, if this would have worked and felt like a love letter to the Mandalorian, if this wasn't in the Mandoverse, if let's say 30 years from now you do an episode like this, everyone, I would have been on my knees crying like, "Oh my god, that takes me way back." But that just takes me back to a year ago. I mean, I've missed Den. I've missed Mando. Like I'm rooting for Mando's. Listen, Book of Boba Fett, love it, but it's just an appetizer. The main stage is Mando season, is the Mando series, and
Yeah.
what's to come of Mando season 3, Ahsoka series, appetizer. The real setting, the main stage of everything, all the events happening, is the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So it just, and the fact that we've only been a year out since the finale of season 2, I was just repeatedly hit over with jokes over the head. I'm like, I get it, I get it, I get it. I've just watched the series last winter. I don't know. Some
Yeah.
of the, I mean, I did, when Din was walking around and his music played, I was like, oh, this feels like we're back home. Feels like we're back home. And some of the lines for me worked, but I don't know, like the first, especially the first one, what you're saying, I could bring you in warm or I could bring you in cold.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, "Oh shit, that's cool," and I was like, "Wait, really? We're doing that?" I was like, "All right," but as you said, once they got rolling, I just started tuning out. I was like, "Dude, guys, Jon Favreau, we've literally just again, 30 years from now, would have been on my knees crying. But having just experienced this, I was like, y'all don't have to remind me. I remember what I watched a year ago. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, some of those lines worked for me, some of them didn't, but it definitely felt repetitious.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like the first, I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. I was like, okay, yeah, cool. But then when he kept like saying to say like weapons are part of my religion, like 30 minutes into the episode, I'm like, we know it's the Mandalorian. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to keep reminding us because at least to me, that's just sort of how I felt. Anyway, I think that sort of wraps up what we're saying. I think the point has come across that, yeah, this episode just shouldn't have been Book of Boba Fett episode 5. This should have been season 3, episode 1 of The Mandalorian or something like that. So
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll keep coming up, but let's talk about this episode. And I think let's just talk about it as a Mandalorian episode because that's what it is. And if we talk about it like that, then we can appreciate it more because it is a great Mandalorian episode. It really is. So let's break it down the way we've been doing it the last few weeks. So, we start off, Din Djarin is at the butchers or the Star Wars butchers. We don't really know, but he seems to have just fallen straight back into bounty hunting as soon as he's lost Grogu. He's pretty much the same old version of Din. However, this time he has the Dark Saber on his side. So, yeah, I don't know. We kind of see like this angry side of Din. I don't know if he's angry about Grogu or what it is, but he gets his bounty, and I mean, immediately we set up. It's set up that this is going to be a Din episode because the theme of Book of Boba blends into the Mando theme, and then Return of the Mandalorian is the name of the episode. Also, about this opening sequence, can I just say, when Din says your former employer, we heard that in the trailers and everyone was saying, oh, it's the mayor because the camera's on the mayor while it says that. No, 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 no. Go read my post from back then. I was telling everyone that's Din Djarin. People in the comments doubting me, but I'm sorry. I just had to put that. I was so happy when I saw that because I'm like, I knew it was Din. People thought Pedro was just going to voice another character. No, that was Din. Anyway, so I was happy about that. But
It was a
yeah, this
traumatic
opening
experience for Ari. Sorry,
yeah.
y'all. Yeah, he had to say that.
No, but this opening sequence was very cool. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
Mike, what do you think?
Dude, it felt, I don't know about everyone else, but it felt like I was watching a scene out of the Punisher series on Netflix or Daredevil. When I'm not even sure there's a scene like that. It's been a while since I watched either show, but it just felt if we were in like the heart of New York City or something, and this was happening in some, some dirty business was happening at some meat shop, and I love the gritty esque feeling of it, and see Mando before those I don't know, those plastic tarps or whatever you call them that you see in grocery stores everywhere, before you get into the freezer sections and stuff like that. That was amazing. Oh man, gotta say, the cinematography of this episode was very well done. You just had him with the dark saber behind. It just, you saw his shadow. That was absolutely perfect, and I especially loved. Oh my gosh, dude, I was okay. We all thought, oh, he's gonna be good with the dark saber, right? This man, it like you could tell that he's untrained with it, and
Yeah.
for me, it bothered me for a second. I know we'll talk about the armor later, but it just bothered me for a second. But then later in the episode, they like do some, they kind of address some of those concerns that I had. So, excellent opening scene. Like I said, it felt like this was the grand opening for season 3 of the Mandalorian. What an entrance! What a scene! And very brutal. I gotta say, I people always complain that, oh, Disney doesn't allow for decapitations or this and that in Star Wars, and or like just slicing of body parts. Remember all the Fallen Order? By the way, appreciate the Fallen Order love in this episode, but all the Fallen Order controversy, and man, Mando just chopped that dude in half. So that was
Yeah, for
very,
real.
very cool. So great opening scene. I know Ari, did there was some talk about if we saw Mando again, would he be carrying the dark saber? Did you actually think he was going to be carrying the dark saber, or what were your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of just assumed he was. I felt like, we kind of got the solid idea when Bo-Katan like refused it in at the end of Mando season 2. But yeah, I agree with what you say. Like, at first I was like, wow, he's terrible with this thing, but I was like, that makes it better because hopefully that we'll get some nice progression with him, as the series goes along. But yeah, that awesome opening sequence. Anyway, though, we then get to, I mean, I don't even know where this was. It was like some strange ring.
Ringo Vinda from Clone Wars. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, like, yeah, anyway, I don't understand how this thing works, but we don't need to talk about that. But like, I hate being negative. We've been very negative this episode, but the volume when we were in, which is like the technology they use to record the episodes, the volume was not working. I don't know what it was, but I noticed, and I think Mike was as well. I could see it moving. Like, it wasn't they may as well have used a green screen or something. It was really off-putting for a while. I was like, maybe it's just because I'm so aware of it. Like, I've watched all those behind the scenes stuff and whatever it is. So, but I was very like, okay, I just saw the volume just move in front of my eyes there. Like, and I noticed it later in the episode as well at Pelimoto's, I don't know, workshop. But anyways, but this whole sequence. So he's looking for the armor. He's looking for his people. I'm curious what like the timeline is. If it's only been a couple of days since the whole Moff Gideon stuff, what it is. But yeah, so he's searching for the cohort and he finds them, but the only people left are the armorer and Paz Vizsla, and he shows them the Dark Saber, and Paz Vizsla gives a suspicious little look at it, which obviously set something up. But then yeah, they set up the armor as like Beskar little gear making shop. I don't know what to call it. But on this ring thing, which seems to be their base. So I don't know, Mike, what are you thinking of all this?
Dude, first of all, I hated that it was such a surprise to see her, and I know a lot of people's theories came up, speculation about the armor, seeing her again, that she would become an enemy to the Mando character, and that's kind of what happened. So yeah, it was very, I don't know. There's in these moments when he was walking around again, the music, I was like, man, it feels like we're back home. I've really enjoyed Mandalorian season 1, and season 2 is, you have some fine episodes in there, the Marshal and the Believer. But you have some really fine episodes in there. But like I said, we were back home with Din, and when I was not even expecting to see that Vizsla character, Paz Vizsla, in here. Wow. Dude,
that's Jon Favreau's character, right?
Yeah, that's Jon Favreau's character. And I love that. Okay, so I remember there was some controversy when the character was named in season 1, because he had a variation of the word, of the spelling for Vizsla. He had like, there's missing an S or something. It was just like straight up like Vizla or something like that, and it was missing like the S in Vizsla and Pre Vizsla. So people were like, is this still connected to Pre Vizsla and that family and Tar Vizsla? And by the way, that awesome reference. I love that when they reference things that are I mean, the Dark Saber, it literally comes from the animated shows, from the Clone Wars. But hearing more about the lore about Tar Vizsla and stuff that came from Star Wars Rebels, mind blowing. By the way, Ari, when they're fighting, and Mando's like, this is just getting heavier or whatever. Did you think back to Rebels and what's the episode? The one episode where Sabine,
Trials of the Dark Saber.
Trials of the Dark Saber.
It's exactly what I thought of. Like, and I mean, I wasn't annoyed about it, but it felt like the same thing. Felt like I was just seeing the same thing, but with Din and the armor instead of Sabine and Kanan, to be completely honest. But I love the thing of like, oh, it's just so heavy and like all that sort of thing. So, yeah, but as you say, it's almost like we got like a Mandalorian history lesson here.
Yeah.
Like, which was cool. So like, the armor sort of pokes fun at the Empire, being like, yeah, all this talk of them, they existed for 30 years. Mandalore, we've existed for like more than 10,000. So, man, she has some awesome quotes in here. Tar Vizsla gets a shout out, which we saw in that same episode of Rebels. And, she even makes Din give up the Beskar spear that Ahsoka gave her, that Ahsoka gave him, and like And then she's like, "What do you want me to forge it into?" And
Right.
now Grogu's getting some Beskar. I don't know. What do you think's going on there?
Well, actually, I was gonna bring that up last time, but then I started geeking out about Mando walking around again. First of all, what she told him, like, we don't use Beskar to make weapons like that. It's to make armor. And then here she is with hammers made out of Beskar, taking out stormtroopers in season 1 of Mando, taking them out brutally. And then she's fighting Mando when they're dueling, but she's using her hammers or whatever they are. And I was like, all right, lady, whatever. Whatever's your take, I understand. But yeah, that was the spear when she melted. I was like, damn, they're really getting rid of it already. All right, cool. Uh, but it just, man, I want I wish I could go on a rant about. We could do it on when we do other podcasts. We can come back and talk about some of these things. But yeah, like I said, the whole dueling sequence was very, very cool. I was so confused as to what was going on because I'm like, where does I kept in the back of my mind, right? I had to keep telling myself, yo, this is so cool. And I'm loving that we're getting a Mandalore. Because here's the thing, we usually get these lessons in the Mandalorian series. So the fact that they were dropping these heavy loads of like juicy steak right in front of us, it was like, wow, we're eating good. They're feeding us all this stuff. They're literally progressing the Mando verse story. They're progressing Mando's character with a lot of the things, and obviously we'll get to some things about is Mando a Mando now. But yeah, it just, to me, the Rebels callbacks were great. Every time this man struggled with the Dark Saber, I'm like, do I remember Sabine struggling as much? Because I don't recall, but then I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, she was like, it feels lighter, and then Kanan's like, yes, it's because you're connecting with it. So yeah, those callbacks were definitely cool, and there's a lot to unpack in this episode. We could literally talk 3 hours. You see, guys, we do like some things of the episode. I know some people are probably mad, but we do like some aspects. We like a lot of the aspects of this episode. But yeah, Ari, I was eating these Dark Saber moments up. Mando on that whatever you want to call it, that walkway they were on, and when he would fall off and he would use his jetpack to come back, I was like, oh sweet, he's already used his jetpack more in this scene than Boba has in the entire series so far. So that was very cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I just want to read out some quotes from the armorer because she says some very interesting stuff referring to the Dark Saber. She says, if, however, it is not won in combat and falls into the hands of the undeserving, it will be a curse unto the nation, which almost just answers everything with Bo-Katan, like why this time around she just will flat out refuse to take the Dark Saber without earning it properly. Which is a question I know a lot of people had because they're like, well, if she took it in Rebels, why would she not take it now? So that pretty much just answered that question, I feel like. But yeah, and the armor even says that Bo-Katan is a cautionary tale and explains, how, she lost Mandalore and everything like that. So yeah, I don't know. I really wanted Din to confront the armor and be like, what is this? What all is this whole other type of Mandalore that I didn't even know about where they take their helmets off and whatever it is. But he just straight up doesn't. I think maybe he doesn't have the confidence to yet or what it is. Because even when she straight up banishes him, it's like he's still just he's like, okay, this is the way. Weapons are a part of my religion. Like all this stuff. So, and just to harp on some of the things she says for a bit longer, she even says, had our sect been cloistered on the moon of Concordia, we would have not survived the Great Purge. So I guess that kind of talks about how, why we didn't know about this sort of sect, I guess, because they must have been very isolated from the rest of Mandalore, which kind of explains like why we don't see them in Clone Wars and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, man. And yeah, what do you think of all this?
Moon of Concordia, Rebel or Clone Wars season 2 callback, that was very nice. That's where they were exiled to, basically. So that's where Pre Vizsla went to, Governor Vizsla. That's where he went to. So it's cool that Paz was somewhere in the mix there as well, but underground if he was even born yet. But yeah, what she was dropping those heavy doses where I was just not used to, because in the Mandalorian they don't even do that sometimes. Like they'll like review information, then something happens, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta wait till the next episode." They were
Yeah.
dropping doses and doses and doses of information here, and like you said, it finally answered some of the questions, because people were saying contradictions. People were saying, "Oh, it's a retcon," and then you saw everybody on their Instagram, so it's not a retcon. It's this and that about the Mandalorian rules. So it was very cool seeing them address some of the stuff there. But again, yeah, I dug that history lesson, and then you actually got to see like um Mandalorian live action. Like that was
Yeah.
that was
That was
crazy. So
insane.
that
Yeah.
was wow. Again, I forgot what show I was watching, just because all this stuff came in heavy doses where it literally felt like a Mando season 3 premiere episode. Like this just would have been a perfect premiere. But I'm Ari, like I just want to take a second here. I'm still so bewildered at the choice here to
Yeah.
include a Mando I get it. I get it. It's the Mandoverse, but a Mando centric episode. It's like if we're watching let's say one of the Marvel shows, if we're watching Loki, and right in the middle they decide to do like a WandaVision episode. Like, what? What?
Yeah.
I'm not saying
It would
WandaVision
be
is the flagship show
strange.
of the series, but it's just like, what?
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm still trying to fight that urge not to say more on that, more and harp on it, just because it's still such an odd choice. And I could have imagined that meeting go down and being like, hey, let's just do an episode of The Mandalorian.
Yeah. I would love to see what went down in that meeting. But yeah, you spoke of those flashbacks. That was crazy. And Armor again goes, those born of Mandalore strayed away from the path. So she's really like, if you don't follow the way, you are not Mandalorian. So I guess maybe she wouldn't even consider someone like Bo-Katan Mandalorian. And
Hmm.
but yeah, pretty much we see the Empire just fully destroys Mandalorian, the Night of 1,000 Tears, which we heard Gideon say at the end of season 1 of Mando. Um, and yeah,
Yep.
she says only those that walk the way escaped the curse prophesied in the creed, and that their adherence to the way has preserved the Mandalore legacy for generations. So she's very hardcore Mandalorian. Like if you stray away from the way, you are going to suffer the consequence pretty much, because this prophecy, all this stuff. So yeah, some, as you say, some heavy doses of I guess Mandalorian lore. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think of this? And what do you think of the armor? Because I think they are setting her up to be some sort of a villain here,
Yeah,
especially with
definitely.
the way she's talking. It's like, yeah, she's almost a bit of a, I don't even know how to say it, like a Mandalore fanatic. It's like, if you break these rules, you're out. As simple as that. Even though there's only 3 of us and we need as many people as we can find, you're still out.
Yeah, that she's just a crazy zealot at this point. It's very she's very much in the cult mind, that's I've always figured her as such, but I always thought maybe she might deviate a little, just to make an exception, just because of times have changed. But listen, times are changing, but she's not. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it's I respect her hustle. I respect her hustle, and she's still alive. It's just weird. It's First of all, I thought Paz was still dead, and to find them that they're on some weird, ring station. I swear I thought that was Ringo Vinda for a second, but I love the Rogue One vibes type also. But that they're on this like ring type thing, and she's just there hidden in a corner of pocketed away on wherever they're at. Like that was interesting. They just had a whole room like to themselves, and that's where they've been
Yeah,
holding their operations. And her being, I thought she might have a little bit more heart, just to knowing Mando and journey that he's been on, and been a little bit more accepting to change. And it just speaks of the character of Mando to be so honest and be like, he just didn't answer the question. He's like, yes. Then he's like, yes, I have taken off my helmet. And it's like, ooh, what's gonna happen? And she's like, then you are no
yeah,
longer a Mandalorian. I was like, damn, that completely. It felt like he just like got his star removed or whatever, his patch. of authority removed, and yeah, they took away all his stripes. So that was very brutal. That
Yeah,
was a
it's
brutal
like
scene.
you are right. It's very like a cult mindset from the armor, I feel like, which is not going to serve her well long term, I think,
No.
if she just keeps turning everyone away for, taking a helmet off or whatever
Where
it
are the
is.
new recruits? It's just been her and what's his name?
Yeah.
Paz this whole time. Like, where are the new recruits? It's just been them this entire time. So yeah. I can't believe we didn't see her in season 2 of The Mandalorian. But we saw her in the Book of Boba Fett. Anyways, I'll stop. But yeah, that was listen, I wonder what they're gonna do with the story of the both of them. I'm sure we'll see them in the Mandalorian when we get that, or they might do a Boba or a Mando centric episode in the Ahsoka series. So we might see the story continue in the Ahsoka Tano series.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, we kind of talked about it already, but we have the whole Dark Saber challenging from Paz, which is cool. How he's very like, well, my ancestors, made the Dark Saber and have owned it. So, um, yeah, that was neat. But we just further see that in those trials, Din's got no clue, but he still wins the fight. Not really using the Dark Saber, but even still, he wins the fight, and obviously it does get him banished because it gets him questioned. But yeah, what
Right.
do you think of the fight?
First of all, love that they took off their jetpacks, because I
Yeah,
always figured Pre Vizsla, even though he gave up honorably, he still fought cheating.
yeah,
Maul was using the Force, and they just fought very dirty back in the Mandalore throne room, and you just had Pre Vizsla using his jetpack and using every single thing on his gauntlet. He was shooting away missiles. He was shooting away little sticky bombs at Maul. He was throwing everything. He fought dirty. He fought dirty. So I
yeah,
appreciated that they both took off their jetpacks. To me, for a second, I was like, "Oh, it's a production thing." But I was like, "No, no, no, no. This totally makes sense if you tie it back to Clone Wars. They, like I said, they fought dirty in Clone Wars, and these two, I would say, were pretty honorable, and they took off their jetpacks, and it was kind of a clean fight until Mando started taking out his like knife or whatever he was using. But yeah, what a cool fight it was. I like the aspect that this Vizsla dude, they tied it again after all that controversy. Is he related to Pre Vizsla? Is he not? Is he of that family? Because of the different name variation. But it's like, no, yes, he is, and he claimed that as his rightful belonging. Challenged Mando to a fight, and got his yeah. I did like that the scene that the fighting was kind of brutal at times, but yeah, there. Come on, Mando won at the end of the day, right? You would say Mando won?
I mean, yeah, I mean, he had him had the knife to his throat at the end. So yeah,
Yeah, you could say he won. So yeah, that was cool, and I just man that the armor every single time just she even dazzled me there when the way she just walked away like nothing. She's like, Mando, do you accept? Yes. Do you agree to these terms? Yes. Okay.
yeah,
She just walks down the catwalk. I'm like, just like nonchalant and let Vizsla come into the fray. Yeah, she's what a badass character like that. Again, I'm excited to see whatever the future holds for the armor, and I'm glad she's still alive. But Dark Saber stuff, yeah. Again, love me some Dark Saber animation references. Love that, because listen, Clone Wars at the end of the day, Star Wars Rebels, that is where it's at. And you know what? Speaking of crossover episodes, Rebels had an episode in the Clone Wars with the Rebels Onderon arc, and Clone Wars had a Rebels episode. So, yeah, check that out. What was that in season 3 when the opening title or the ending titles ended with like the Clone Wars logo and theme?
yeah,
Yeah, that was cool.
yeah.
They
Once
should just.
again, that was more of a love letter though. That was not just like a
Oh, no, oh
Clone Wars
yeah, no,
episode
for sure.
straight
And the
up.
way
Like,
they worked it into the, yeah, no, 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 for sure.
yeah,
That very different.
yeah. Let me ask you something though. So
Yeah.
the armorer says, according to Creed, one may only be redeemed in the living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore. Din says the mines are destroyed though, and she just says, "This is the way." which is just ludicrous from her. I mean, seriously,
Zealot,
just
crazy
no
zealot.
consideration whatsoever. But let me ask you: do you think he's going to go through with this? He's going to try and find the mines and get this curse, I guess, lifted from him. What do you think?
Have there been rumors, or has it just been speculation that Mando season 3 is going to take place on Mandalore?
I think that's just speculation as of now, but I think it's pretty safe to say that should happen.
There's no way they just put that all together and let for live action just for us to never see it again. I could see it happening. Mando again seems very, very devoted to the cause, whatever this cause is, of staying true to the Mando way. He could have easily lied and been like, no, all right, moving on. Because she asked him in season 1, have you ever removed your helmet? No, this is the way. And this time he just didn't answer. Then was like, yes, I have. So he could have easily skipped past that part. But I think he definitely will try to redeem himself, whether we see that on screen or off screen. So, but I think he'll trying to find his way back to the armor. Whether they accept him or not, that'll be interesting. So keep up. Oh, and that was the Moff Gideon reference that they had a conversation about of Mando killing Moff Gideon. He's like, no, he's been taken to the New Republic to face it for trial. And then it just brings up the whole conversation like, well, what is justice? Do we kill him for what he's done? He slaughtered all our people, or do we let him rot in a cell and pay justice? Like, that was, I love that they brought that up. And and Paz was like, I would have killed him or something like that. So again, I watched at 2 a.m. so I don't remember every single line.
I mean, that stuff's kind of a given with Gideon, I guess. Hopefully we'll follow up in Mando season 3. But anyway, Din is off to Tatooine, which, by the way, can I say, is just the most convenient thing for whoever's writing the show. It's like, Din and Boba are about to, link up. Okay, Din needs to go to Tatooine to see Pelimoto. Like, seriously?
That was so
convenient. Whatever, I've got to just see past that. But he takes all his weapons off as he has, like, it's like he has to take the bus now, which I found kind of funny. And he takes all his weapons off. And he just straight up puts explosives in his bag, and they're just like, yeah, no worries, put that on. Like, in the real world, imagine that happening. Like, there's no way they're letting him walk.
I'm pretty sure TSA will stop you right on the spot.
I don't know. But anyway, we have this whole sort of Grogu kind of sequence, I guess, because we have the Rodian who I guess reminds him of Grogu, and then he looks at the little package that the armor gave him, and the fabric's like folded the shape of Grogu's like head. So let's talk about Grogu for a second.
Grogu,
what is going on with him? Din seems to be really upset about I guess giving him away. He wants to see him again. We'll talk about what happened at the end of the episode where he says he needs to see a little friend later. But like, what is happening here? Are we gonna go see Grogu again? But with Din especially, is because it's almost like he's got some sort of vengeance. Like, he chops that guy in half. Like, even at the start of Mandalorian, he wasn't doing things like that dark, I guess. So I don't know. What do you think?
You take me back, man. I wish you and I were podcasting back to when Mando season 2. Oh, I know you were doing your own series, but reacting to when Mando that crime boss, he like strings up on the ladder. He has his little Batman moment where he just ties him up and whips around the rope around the light pole, and the guy's like, Mando, let me down from here, Mando. And he walks away. Oh God. So the Grogu stuff, I feel I'm trying to really, love some aspects from this episode, given the atmosphere that we're in. However, it just, for me, undoes whatever emotional impact we had in the finale of season 2 of The Mandalorian when Mando took off his helmet, y'all. He took off his helmet. He betrayed his religion's #1 rule: never remove your helmet. Removed his helmet, had this whole little moment, and watched him go off and not knowing where he was going. And now you're telling me he's just gonna go and try to find him. And it's like, dude, you let him go, you set him free. You wanted him to go down a better path. You want him to receive the training that he wanted. You know, that whole sequence that he has with Ahsoka, and Ahsoka's telling him like what he needs to do, and him fulfilling that that journey that he was on, and now it's like we're gonna go back to it just to visit. I don't know. It felt like I don't know. To me, it felt like maybe like if you guys ever seen the movie Big Daddy with Adam Sandler, it just felt like it felt like we just had this big emotional moment, and then it's like no ragging on the movie. I love that movie, but it just felt like I don't know. We just were going back like oh Grogu, he just lives down the block. Like I'll see him tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we had this big emotional moment with Din and Grogu. So because listen, when that scene happened in season 2, like I'm pretty sure I shed some tears. So I mean, who didn't? But and now it just seems like, oh, I'm just gonna go visit him. He's down the street.
Yeah, no,
It just felt
exactly.
bizarre. It felt
It's
bizarre.
strange. I don't
Did-
know why he let him go because he just could have not searched for the Jedi. It's like he fulfilled his quest, and now it's
right.
almost like he just wants to undo it straight away. And I'm
Exactly.
like,
Exactly.
what?
I
Like,
haven't
and
talked
no,
with anyone
don't
about
get me
that.
wrong. I don't not want to see Grogu again. Like,
Oh,
I
right.
think in the future he'll
Right.
come back, but it's like right now, it's like, yeah, all right, Mando season 3, maybe no Grogu, but it's like we're not even at Mando season 3 and already like bring back Grogu. And I'm
Right.
like, give him a
Exactly.
second. Just let him be with Luke for a bit. So
Exactly.
yeah, I don't know. But anyway, we're on Tatooine very conveniently. And immediately we're in Pelimoto's little workshop, and a little BD droid
Oh,
walks past the camera, which was like, oh my god, that was a big surprise. Obviously, it's not BD1 from Fallen Order, but it's the I don't think we've ever seen one of these in live action, so
nope.
that was
Nope.
epic.
Nope.
Um, and obviously, yeah, Pelimoto is back, and this is the next big thing from this episode: the N-1 Starfighter. Pelly said she had a Razor Crest replacement, but it just ends up being, which for people that don't know, the N-1 Starfighter is just the Naboo ships, I guess you'd call them, from
Yeah.
Phantom Menace. Anakin flies one. And Din really is not sold at first. He calls it a piece of junk, but he ends up liking it as him and Pelly put it together, which, by the way, was a very long sequence, took like 10 minutes for them to get it together. I enjoyed it, but it was like, I was already like, when's Boba Fett coming? When's Boba Fett coming? And then we spent
Yeah.
10 minutes repairing a ship, and I was like, okay, I don't know about this, but I'm curious, like, what does Mando having this ship now mean for him? Like, the Razor Crest was like his home, but obviously he can't live in this ship. It's like 2 seats. So I don't know, but Pelly also explains how like friendships with the Jawas work and how they've been
Her
getting
love relationship.
yeah, exactly. Like she used to date one, which man, if I wasn't so distracted with the whole Book of Boba Fett thing, I would have been laughing so hard at that because that's
Yeah.
just like the dorky Star Wars humor that I just enjoy for whatever reason. But yeah, Din takes the ship for a test drive, I guess, through Beggar's Canyon, which was cool. And he falls in love with it. He even calls it Wizard. So
Wizard.
which once again would have enjoyed if I wasn't so distracted. But second time around, because I watched it twice, I like enjoyed all this stuff. But at the time I was like, what is going on? But
It was so
anyway, so
jarring. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it
No.
was pretty funny.
You know what? The ship. I felt so validated because I don't listen. I don't read rumors all that much. And apparently there was a rumor that this starfighter was going to come in, and of course Twitter beforehand was like, "Ooh, look at this N-1 Starfighter." And I was like, "Why am I seeing all that on Twitter?" And then guess what? We see the Naboo Starfighter. But I pitched this to one of my friends. It was Pete Plocool. He was talking to me about the Razor Crest. We were one night just chatting, and I was like, "Pete, I have a dark theory." No, I'm just kidding. It's not dark, but I had just recently gotten the Hasbro, no, not the Hot Wheels Starship of the Razor Crest, and I just have it on display. But I was just toying it with it one time, and I was like, it reminded me how clunky it is. A great design ship, but it's very clunky in live action when they're trying to do like spins and remember in season 1 they're trying to do some cool dogfight, but it just looks so clunky. And so it just felt very like if they were just doing it on models. And I'm like, how do you move a ship like that? Because even in season 2, um, the one where they have Imperial transports and they're flying down with Grief Karga and stuff, you have this cool sequence where the Razor Crest is like swirling in the air, doing like some type of maneuver to shoot down TIE fighters, and you just in in the sound effect in the sound design, you hear this massive, massive hunk of metal just swirling and rolling in the air. That I'm like, damn, this thing is huge and clunky. So when they destroyed the ship, I was like, why would they do that? And then I listen, I love my Starfighter, so I thought a little bit more about it. And I'm like, oh, you know what? The next ship he gets, it's going to be an agile starfighter. It's just they want to do some type of like dogfighting sequence or some type of space battle with Din sometime soon that it will look cool, rather than like the Razor Crest, which is really clunky in animation. It like look at the Ghosts, well done space battles in Star Wars Rebels. Look at the Twilight in the Clone Wars, well done space battles, but it doesn't work here, and it's not as long as and flat as the Millennium Falcon, where you can have cool action sequences. This is just some clunky thing. So I had a theory since that season 2 episode premiered. What was it called with Boba Fett comes in, the tragedy,
Yeah.
So when he lost the Razor Crest, I'm like, oh, they're gonna bring in they're gonna give him an agile starfighter, and well, it's the Naboo starfighter, and I couldn't be happier. They even have a little cockpit there that Grogu's gonna get to ride in someday. So did you notice that they have they left like a little bubble turret at the back instead of a
Yeah.
droid? It's
Well, yeah,
just
they mention it as well because they're like,
yeah.
we don't, man, Pelly's like, yeah, Mando, I know you, but that's for your little friend, or I don't know exactly
Oh,
what she
she
said,
says something
but
like that. Okay,
yeah, she like
I didn't catch that.
directly addresses it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was like, oh, you know who's gonna go on there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
but but yeah, all the prequel references, especially Phantom Menace nods, were. I mean, in season 1 of Mando, we got all these like A New Hope references, which is cool and stuff, and even Boba Fett. But it's like the Phantom Menace is 20 years old now. It's about time it gets recognition like this. It
Yeah,
gets little Easter eggs, and it gets the
definitely.
appreciation that it deserves, because one day Ari and I will do a sit down review of the Phantom Menace, I'm sure, but it just felt like I was 10 years old, 9 years old, watching Phantom Menace for the first time, and we were going in those uh flying by those rock formations, and through Beggar's Canyon, and yeah, that again, as I said earlier, with the Mando theme playing, it just felt like we were right back at home. So in different way, I felt like all the prequel fans, all the prequel kids, the prequel generation, we were finally seen. Because everyone, oh look, it's R5 from A New Hope. I don't
Yeah.
care. Oh
Yeah.
look, it's the same Jawa with the ripped cloth. I don't care. But it's like you go into where and it looked exactly like a pod racer, the Naboo Starfighter. So that was perfect. Yeah, what a well cut sequence. Yeah, I loved
That's
every
what I
second of
thought it
it.
was at first. I was like, what is
They
happening?
they
Why
gave
is
him a
Pelly
pod
gonna give him
racer.
a pod racer? Like, yeah. But yeah, pretty cool seeing the N1. I completely agree with what you're saying. Like, I see R5 and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. But then I'm like, it's like the only little Easter eggs we ever see in Star Wars that is all this original trilogy stuff. And obviously we all love the original trilogy,
We do.
but
We
the
do.
prequels are awesome as well. Almost swore there for a second, but they are awesome too. So anyway, though, while he is taking it out for a test drive, we run into some familiar friends, or a familiar friend. The New Republic shows up, Carson Teva, and they're like, yeah, that's illegal. Stop, riding your starship right next to the commercial flight or whatever it was. And then Carson sort of says, hey, what's that voice? Like, where have I heard that before? And then says, do you mind answering a few questions? And then straight as he does, Din just clicks the button or whatever it does and just zooms right away. So seeing Carson again was cool. And I'm curious, like with the New Republic, they're really reaching out far and wide. And I guess Carson is sort of going to be like the gateway into answering all the questions of what is going on with the New Republic right now. It's been 5 years since Battle of Endor. So yeah, I guess he can answer some of those questions for us in this show, or Rangers of the New Republic. I think that's been cancelled, but maybe they'll change it. Who knows?
Maybe they'll change it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was meant to be a Cara Dune show, but obviously that is not going to happen. So
We do not say her name on here. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. But yeah, obviously that's not going to happen. But yeah, should be interesting to see. What did you think of Carson Teva?
Did you know the pilot that's next to him, the white dude Did
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
that he's played by the same actor who did the stunts for Luke in the finale of season 2?
I
Mando?
did not, but I was like, when I saw him, I was like, this is definitely someone. Like
Yeah,
I
he
could
looked
tell.
familiar.
No, not even because of that. I was just like, because I remember the last time they had all the X-Wing pilots, it was like they were all directors of different episodes.
Mhm.
So I didn't recognize them at all, but I was like, that's going to be someone, and I'll probably hear
Wait,
about it in
so
the
does
next
that
few
mean
days.
Luke is coming back?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think Luke is a solid chance if, we're having the whole Grogu thing. So, yeah.
Oh man, we're gonna have a long speculation segment today, huh? Dude, when I had more of a reaction when Mando was what would you call it? Flying no, I'll think of the word later, but when he was flying close to the Starliner and flying recklessly and up close, I was like, isn't that kind of dangerous? What
Yeah.
I
I
felt like
mean,
they were
it's
gonna
illegal,
go
I
and
guess. They called him out for it.
yeah, I thought they were gonna do like, the Starliner itself was gonna start opening fire on the ship because I'm like, that's that's insane. Think about if someone did that to one of the airliners here
Yeah.
of planes, like that's just unheard of. So then you have these X-wings pop out of nowhere, and I was like, oh shoot. And this is another one of those references where I'm like, yeah, we just saw this last year. We get it.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah.
But again, it was very touching to see.
Well, I mean, it did feel like the same thing over again, like I
It
was
did
saying at the
feel
start. It's like,
it was
oh yeah,
yeah.
and we run into the New Republic, and Carson Teva says something a bit quirky, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you don't want to go back to base and fill out all the paperwork, do you?" Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was the same thing, which I again, like the Phantom Menace stuff. We are 20 years out from that, 20 years plus from that film. And when you say wizard, like what's that little kid's name? One of Anakin's friends. People are yelling at me and
Yeah,
people
I know.
listening. Oh,
They're
what
yelling at
he
both of
we
us.
love that kid. What's his name? Anyways, when he says wizard or one of them say wizard in the Phantom Menace, it's just like, you know what? I love it. But it's like when they're saying stuff like this that's been we just literally passed it a year ago. It's like, yo, we get it. We get it. Like Stranger Things, right? Stranger Things season 2, there's so many things in there that like they knew that they just had to have in there because of the fan response in the previous season or even season 3 where they just go back to some of the similar tropes or lines, and it's like, we get it. We just saw the last, well, now it's been years since we've seen a Stranger Things season, but when they were coming out continuously back to back, it was like, hey, y'all, we get it. We just were there. So yeah, I just this was another one of the moments in the
His
episode where
name
I
is
was like,
Kitster, by the way.
Kids,
Uh,
oh, kids,
for
sir.
the
You
people
know what?
that are watching, will see that I just looked it up. But for the people
Kidster.
on the audio, I definitely didn't look it up. I promise you.
Yeah, no.
Definitely
I'm
didn't
the
look up
producer.
Anakin's friend from the Phantom Menace. So.
I'm the producer of the audio, so that's not getting cut.
Yeah.
No, listen. Yeah, Kidster, all the Kidster love. We need to bring back Kidster appreciation and love. The Star Wars show on YouTube, when that was a thing, they gave
Yes, that's
Kidster
exactly what
all
I
the
thought.
love.
I was like, I can hear Anthony Carboni just yelling at me. Like,
Bro, I gotta one day on the pod, I gotta talk about my run-ins with cool run-ins with Andy Gutierrez and Anthony Carboni, great people. But anyways, yeah, Kidster love.
for sure. And I mean, that brings us to the end of the episode. We finally, after 45 odd minutes, get a connection back to Book of Boba. Fennec comes through. And also, I should say, actually, like 5 minutes before, we had Pike's sort of call out, I guess. But because Pelly explains that the Pikes have sort of been messing up Tatooine and are taking over the planet. So that was it's kind of just telling us what we already knew, but kind of just gave us a citizen's perspective. Geez, that took me a while to spit out. A citizen's perspective. But yeah, so pretty much Fennec comes in and says, yeah, we need muscle. It's like, we know. And then he agrees and says, it's on the house, but first I need to pay a visit to a little friend. And I immediately, because I went to Mike, Cobb Vanth. So he's coming back. I don't know why. I just didn't think Grogu because
Yeah,
he
he
even
said
says
Cobb
little
Vanth.
friend.
He said
I
Cobb Vanth, and I was
yeah.
like, what is
I
he talking
genuinely
about?
was
But
like, oh, so Cobb Vanth is coming in. Like, and I still think Cobb Vanth could, but I mean, this was pretty obviously referencing Grogu with the way he says little friend. I don't know what I was thinking. I was very distracted from what I had just seen. But anyway, so Grogu. He's coming into
Grogu.
the show, I guess.
I hope not.
Yeah,
I
me
hope
too.
not. Just because. Yeah,
But he says,
thought.
but Din says before he can help, he has to go visit. So it's like, yeah,
So what is this a quick stop and then we're because here's the thing.
yeah,
What I love about the Marshal is we all got all the cute baby Yoda stuff in the next episode of season 2 and in the spider one. But in the first episode, at least the Marshal, what I love about it is that they knew how special and how they did not expect the baby Yoda thing to become a phenomenon the way it did.
yeah,
But I love that in that episode they pay attention to Grogu, but they don't put over, they don't overemphasize on him. They have like some cool shots like lingering on him, but not too long where it's like, all right, we get it. We get it. I just hate being beat over the head like the damn butchers at the opening of the scene. It's like, yo, I get maybe the general audience, I guess, the general audience hasn't seen some of these things in a while, but it's like, man, I just watched this episode a week ago. So it's
yeah.
anyways, no. I hope Grogu's not brought into the mix here just because no one's gonna to be fair, not a lot of people have been caring about the Book of Boba Fett story so far. So but it seems to me like they wrote this episode last week, not because it's all over the place or anything like that. I still think it's a good episode, but it's just like, oh shoot, they're not vibing with the story they're setting up. Quick, right? We'll edit and shoot and record everything, and we'll even put the music together in a week because people are not liking it just seemed like that. Not saying the episode was rushed. It just felt like such a knee jerk a response to the way things have been going. And like I said on last week's episode, I did not want Din coming in, nor do I want now Baby Yoda coming in, because now that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Just because they would steal the show from Boba, which they literally did. This is no longer the Book of Boba Fett.
Well, it feels like they're just not committing to the Boba Fett story. It's like, like we just don't know if we want to do it. So it's like, let's just do a Mandalorian episode and just hope the people who aren't enjoying it will fall in love with the show because the Mandalorian's here now. And it's with the Grogu stuff. It's like, like I want to see him, but it's like not now. This is just way too soon. It's not the right show.
No, not the right show at all.
Yeah.
No.
So
and same with Mando. I miss the man. I miss the man. And I'm telling you, I've never loved Mando more than I did in season 2 when we got some cool underneath the helmet Mando. It's like, oh yes, awesome.
Yeah.
With him in the finale and him in the Believer with Mayfeld. But all that aside, it's just you've committed to doing different stories, different chapters of the Mandoverse. We have Ahsoka Tano, we have Boba Fett, other shows that are yet to be announced, but we are doing other things. We're bringing Thrawn into the mix apparently, and are we just gonna be relying on the Mando character to pull us forward? This is Boba Fett. This is Boba freaking Fett. You're telling me he can't, he doesn't warrant his own series? He can't carry his own series? You're telling me the legendary Boba Fett cannot carry his own series? Yeah, all the work that they've done throughout the show, all those even slow moments that I've appreciated and those meaningful moments with Boba and the Tuskens and Boba and the train, like all those awesome moments. I still get teary-eyed when I watch that robing scene with the Tuskens. I still get teary-eyed. And all that slow build-up, we're building up slowly to what's going to be happening with Boba in the present day. Just gone. With Mando being brought into the mix, and maybe now Grogu. It's just, bro. I would have much rather spend this episode with pulling Mando in wherever he was, pulling in Boba's old context, because it is called the Book of Boba Fett. Reach all of Boba's old context. I wasn't a fan of Cad Bane maybe coming to the show, but kind of would have rather preferred they take that route to whatever they're doing. Because let me tell you something. These last 2 episodes. They better deliver on the war that they keep teasing for we've been 3 weeks now. So almost a month on this damn war thing about, the Pikes, the war is coming. Almost a month. I want everyone to think about that for a second. So, oh man, Ari, Grogu, What are your thoughts? Do you think he's coming back? Do you think we're gonna see him next week? Do you think everyone next week on Instagram is gonna be doing comparison posts of Grogu in the Book of Boba Fett, comparing him to Mando season 2?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. As I've already said, I don't really want him in this show. If they bring him in, I hope they do it right. But I just don't want him in this show. It's the wrong show. It's too early.
How do you
He's
think
not
they would do
needed.
it right if they brought Grogu in? How do you think
I
they'd
don't
do it
think they
right?
can. That's why I'm saying don't do it. But if they have to do it, find some way that we can come on here next week and go, that was great. But I can't see
Right.
that happening, to be completely honest. But I think it just looks inevitable now, because it's like, well, I'll help you, but not until I visit my little friend. It's like, okay, then.
That was a little over the top. I was like, Mando, stop it. I'm
Yeah,
like, that is, I'm all for character development and Mando changing, but it felt so out of, it felt like a
it's the wrong show.
wink to the audience.
Yeah.
By the way, hope you all appreciate this graphic I threw up together.
Oh yeah. For
Easy
the
to do,
people on
but
YouTube. Yeah.
I would have never. Oh yeah, people on YouTube. Hey, podcast people, we're on YouTube.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that I had to replace Boba and Fennec on this.
Yeah. Yeah. We literally had one prepared that was Boba and Fennec, and now we
I,
were
had to-
like, no, it's a different show. We should have replaced the logo as well with the Mandalorian.
I was gonna do it as a
But
joke, but I was like, no, I think Ari would be
yeah.
upset, so we moved on. But yeah, oh
It's
gosh,
time
yeah.
for the Q&A.
Oh, is it time for the Q&A?
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's get into
take
it.
us in. All right. Listen, you guys, I love this segment. I know you guys have all loved this segment. I see repeat people asking questions, so I appreciate that very much. So, pulling out the handy dandy phone, we are going straight to Instagram, and I'm going to be answering questions on the sticker tab that I picked up. So, let's see who the first one is, and this one comes from Adrian Reed, also known as ad_Reed, and he asks, "You think Luke will make another appearance in Episode 6?" Oh, we touched a bit
Yeah.
about
I
this.
mean, if I think Grogu and him are going to come as a package, and I think, yeah, I just, I haven't really felt this negative about a Star Wars thing since probably the whole Kanan debacle in Bad Batch. But yeah, I don't want him to be in this show at all, but looks like he's going to be. So
No.
what can you do? Like, because I think Grogu and him come in a package, as I said. So if
Yeah.
Grogu comes, which I think he will, Luke is going to as well. So
I don't know what would warrant Luke to leave whatever he's doing to come to Tatooine or whatever, unless he's taking Grogu on a field trip and he just takes him to Ben's old hut and it's like, yo,
this is where I first got my lightsaber.
this is my first connection
Yeah.
to opening the door to the Force. This is where my mentor lived. It's who my nephew is named after, and or something like that. You never know. Maybe he's training with Ben Solo. We never know. But yeah, I don't see how Grogu appears in this and Luke doesn't. I don't see how even Mando takes away Grogu. I really want to watch this episode again. Apologies to everyone. Again, I think that's awesome that Ari brings the perspective of that he just watched it again, and I bring the perspective of that I've only seen it once, and I'm still reeling in from my reaction. I had a bunch of meetings and presentations at school today, so I got home and Ari and I got ready, and we're shooting it. So I really want to watch this episode again, because I think that I'm kind of getting excited when Din says how we're talking about Din saying I gotta go see somebody real quick, my little friend or whatever. I think that's cool, but it's just where are we going next week? So listen, it's gonna be a Super Bowl party next week for Book of Boba Fett. We're gonna do episode premieres 2 a.m. for me. I'm gonna order pizza. I'm gonna do wings. I'm gonna do all that, even though it's not the finale yet. Just because it seems like next episode is gonna be an event with all these characters into play. So listen, if you want to party, hit the subscribe button because we're gonna be partying next week, breaking down the episode. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, make sure you sub, and also you rate the episode. Give us a review. Let us know what you think. But anyways, want to get that off the top. All right, next question, Ari. Josh Ashley 62 asks, does the role of an N-1 signal the end of hunting for Din? Seems like no going back. Ari, I think you were touching a bit about this earlier. What's your opinion? Do you think that now that he has like a starfighter, it kind of reminds me of Cad Bane's cool starfighter from Clone Wars, where it just had room for only himself. So like nothing for cargo, nothing for hauling things around, no scoop jobs, just I'm traveling Lone Ranger planet to planet. What are your thoughts?
Sorry, guys, Mike was muted. Yeah, so nah, yeah. Look, I don't think necessarily the fact that he has a starfighter compared to like a Razor Crest changes the fact that he's going to be a bounty hunter. I think he's going to stop hunting, but I don't think that's necessarily why. I think more the indication was we see when he got his fresh armor, it was like a clean slate for him. With the ship, notice how all the color, all the yellow has just faded. It's another clean slate. So I feel like it's more of an indication of a fresh start, not because of the actual way the ship works, just because of what it seems to be representing, which seems to be a fresh start. So yeah, I think the hunting days are over for Din. I hope, at least, because I think we've seen that he's gone back to it now. He's come to he sort of realized how he didn't want to do it, and now it's like he's fully realized it, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm done with that. So
Even
yeah.
even in the beginning of the episode, I was like, oh, is Mando going back to his old ways? But he was doing that to get information about the armor and where her location was. So it seems like, it's kind of back to season 2 when everybody was making memes of like, oh, you do this job, let's do the you help me, and then I'll give you a piece to your puzzle so you can continue on your journey. So that's what kind of felt like again. But it was done in 5 minutes, so that was cool rather than spending a whole episode on it. When that Ithorian, was it an Ithorian lady that was questioning Din or being like, sit down, or was it an Ithorian? I forgot what the species
I
was.
can't remember. Yeah.
But yeah, that whole sequence, I'm like, oh, what are we doing here? I was like, all right. And it just, yeah, for me, it took me back to the old days of Mando. But it seems like he's doing a bit more than just bounty hunting and stuff like that. And I love that man could be low on credits, but he said, no, make it on the house. Just how Boba kind of helped Din when he was trying to, get Grogu. He said, oh, we're not done with you. Yeah, we traded you gave me back my armor, but I'm gonna help you return that kid. And that still touching that Boba helped in trying to, and Fennec was there along the way when Luke came in, so that was cool. She when Fennec hopped down, she looked happy to see Din. She was like, she almost out of character. She was very like happy to see Din, so that was very cool. She was like kind of cheery and smiley, so that was cool.
Yeah.
We got a Fennec cameo in the Book of Boba Fett, but no Boba Fett. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I'll leave that tangent for another time. All right. J_JD511 says, do you think we'll see Cobb Vanth next episode? Listen, Boba Fett's desperate. He's putting in all his allies. I really wish, I think we said this on the pod last week, but I really wish we saw Cobb Vanth in some form. We're connecting all these dots. It's like, might as well, bring us connect the dots with Cobb Vanth and why Boba let him keep the armor, for so long. I as I said on the pod, I have my theory, but give us some clarity. I want to find out. But do you think Boba Din might pull in Cobb Vanth? He's a very popular character in the fandom. Do you think that Cobb Vanth will see Cobb Vanth next week or anytime soon in the Boba series?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. That's all it is right now. I mean, literally all I can say is I hope so. I don't know if we will. But I think he'll pull in as many allies as he can. I don't see Boba reaching out more. I could see Din reaching out, but I can't see it happening. But yeah, anyway, so that kind of just wraps up the Q&A. So appreciate all the questions. As we say, DM us, me at Star Wars _exchange, Mike at all_Star Wars. Send your questions through. We love answering them and all that. So, but yeah, let's talk about what's next, and let's rate this episode if we even can before we wrap up the show. So Mike, What do you think is coming next for the show, and what's your overall rating, if you can even give one?
I'm gonna have to watch it again, but my overall rating right now is probably like man, if we're talking Mando episode, this is easy an 8.5 out of 10, straight up easy. But because this is Book of Boba, like you have to judge it on the merit of it being connected to the show and what it did to move the story forward. As Pete said in his review, no rating. I'm gonna do that. That's the first time and probably the last time I do that. But no rating at all. I'm gonna have to. And even the creative said that you're going to watch the series in a different light. Oh, hit my mic. You're gonna see the series in a different light after the finale. So maybe I'll like this episode a little bit more, but in terms of it being a Book of Boba Fett episode, but in terms of what's next, I don't know. Like I can sit here and speculate on something. Oh, we'll get Grogu and stuff, but it just seems like everything and anything will come at us. We might even see Bo-Katan next week. Who knows? Maybe she's. Oh, I don't know. Maybe her and Mando are gonna have an episode where she's trying to get the Dark Saber, so they could further the Mando versus something. But what I want to happen is give me the Pikes. Give me whatever is going on. We had this cool sequence where they're all coming down from the ship and they're invading the land. But bro, I love Boba and his palace. Like that is when Boba's just sitting there and kind of clueless, like, oh, we have to go visit the mayor. And him and Fennec walk to the mayor's office. What's going on with the mayor? I want to see what's going on with the mayor. Has been. You think Boba would have caught up with him now? And instead, they're with the major domo, still asking questions. Oh, he's singing like a bird. Show us. I know people are not a fan of the major domo, but show us what the heck is going on, rather than leaving us, stuck in flashback sequences that no one cared for. I cared for, but no one asked for. No one asked to connect all the details. Or, bro, I was really loving this show, and this still feels like I still feel so bewildered as to who decided this. A surprise for sure, but yeah, I'm not gonna ramble on too much. But Ari, we got to talk a little bit yesterday about what you were speculating was gonna happen next. But yeah, what's your rating and what's coming up on the Book of Boba or the Mandalorian?
I mean, yeah, this is a Book of Boba review, so I'm not going to talk about what's coming for next for the Mandalorian. Like, we'll talk about that when the time comes. But yeah, as a Mandalorian episode, this is an 8 out of 10. It's a good episode, but I'm not even rating this as a Boba episode because it'll be so low that I just get yelled at. But as a Book of Boba Fett episode, it's just not a good Boba Fett episode. It just isn't. It's a great Mandalorian episode, but it's not a good Boba Fett episode. But yeah, what's next? I don't know. Just the Pike War, I guess. Like, I don't even know where the show is going anymore. I thought we had no clue at the start, and then we sort of got some sense of direction, and now that's just all gone once again. It's like, I guess the Pike War, but it's like, now we're just going to do Grogu for the next 2 episodes. I don't even know. Hopefully my spirits are lifted when next week's episode comes out and we get back into the Boba Fett action. But yeah, that's pretty much everything.
I'm still. I understand I had a long day. I'm sorry, YouTube, if you guys see me laughing and if you gotta hear me laughing audio, but I'm just again so wow. Just I keep laughing at at all the masters at Lucasfilm just sitting there and being like, what if we drop an episode of The Mandalorian in the middle of the Book of Boba Fett's run and try to connect it? And they do so at the end very loosely, being like, yeah, we need you, Mando, even though we found the last episode that we needed muscle and we teased your appearance. All right, cool. Like,
yeah.
You know what? I will not be as sour if The Mandalorian season 3 gives us a Book of Boba Fett episode that we were robbed of. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
If we get a Book of Boba Fett season 2,
the pattern has to stop here. The pattern has to stop.
If we get a season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett, I'll be less sour about it because I'll be like, all right, more time, but I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah. Yeah, is what it is. But
Lucasfilm has
anyway,
broken me.
yeah, that pretty much just wraps us up for today. But yeah, if you haven't already, please drop a like, comment, rating, or review, depending on how you're listening, and subscribe or follow the channel on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever else podcasts are available. Be sure to keep up with us also on our socials. Mike, where can people find you?
all_Star Wars on Instagram and Twitter. And y'all, please, you heard what we had to say about the episode. What do you think? Did you like the episode? Did you not like it? Did you think it was a great Mando episode? Did you think it was a great Book of Boba Fett episode? Let us know in the comments on YouTube or wherever you can reach us. We care about what our audience thinks. So please let us know what you thought. You sat here and listened to us. Now it's time for us to sit here and read your comments. So go ahead, let us know what you thought of the episode. And Ari, if people want to reach out to you with what they thought of the episode, where can they do so?
Yep, find me on Instagram at the Star Wars. No, on Twitter at the SW Exchange. Jeez, no one's gonna find me now. But and on Instagram at Star Wars_Exchange. Links in the show notes, or the description wherever. But yeah, thanks very much everyone for listening again. May the Force be with you, and until next week.
Adios.